I'm Amy the Bunny Lady, and this is my partner Elusive, Ellie for short. High five. Good job. And today we're going to go over all the ways that you can rabbit-proof your home to make sure that you can keep your rabbit safe. If you're new to our channel, welcome. We give tips and tricks for how to make sure you have a happy and healthy bunny in your home. So if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscription button and the notification bell next to it so you never miss any of our weekly videos. So as many of you know, I very much advocate for having indoor rabbits. House rabbits are much safer than they would be outside. But that doesn't mean that there are not dangers indoors too. So we need to make sure that we take the time to rabbit-proof our homes so that we can keep our rabbits safe. Rabbit-proofing also makes sure to prevent your rabbit from being destructive in your home, since their teeth and claws can end up doing some damage. And also, as part of rabbit-proofing, we have to make sure we give our rabbit other ways of using their natural instincts. So rabbits will just naturally want to dig and chew on things. So we need to give them other outlets for digging and chewing so that they don't insistently end up going after areas of our home and damaging them. I will be going over a bunch of different tools that I use to rabbit-proof stuff. So I'll have links to those things that I use in the description. So feel free to check out those links if you find something that you think would be very useful for you. So first, let's talk about the most important thing that you need to take into consideration, and that is your wires. You need to cover your wires or get them completely out of your rabbit's reach. For rabbits, wires look like little twigs. So in the wild, the domestic rabbits that we have would be burrowers, and they burrow into the ground and they will chew on any roots that get in their way to just snap them off and then keep digging. So that's what they do with wires too. They just snip right through them. Now this is both dangerous for the rabbit because they could potentially be electrocuted if they chew into the wrong wire. But it's also not great for all of our appliances that need those wires to have power. So it is really in our best interest and our rabbit's best interest to make sure that these wires are completely rabbit-proofed. So the first thing you can do is just try to get as many wires out of your rabbit's reach as possible. So get them behind a fenced-off area, or get them up on top of a desk or something like that, rather than underneath the desk where your rabbit would be able to get at them. Or just, as much as possible, keep wires outside of the rabbit room. So there's just not all that many wires that your rabbit can actually get at. However, this is obviously not always possible, so what you will have to do is cover any wires that you can. So you can get this split loom wire tubing. I think its actual purpose is for organizing desktop wires and keeping them from getting all messy under the desk, but what we use them for is rabbit proofing. So it's this plastic tubing that you can put over the wires. It's thicker than a typical wire would be, so rabbits are less likely to chew on thicker wires. So automatically, just by having a thick tubing around the wire, your rabbit's less likely to go for it. But then even if your rabbit does go for it, they'll get the plastic tubing rather than the actual wire. And then you can notice what your rabbit is doing and replace the plastic tubing, the cover, before your rabbit actually gets to the wire and destroys the wire. Another common place that rabbits tend to chew on is baseboards. Baseboards are right at your rabbit's level. It's a perfect wooden chew toy right there for them. So many rabbits will end up going after them. Now this isn't great for your house because then you'll have chewed on baseboards everywhere. The best way that you can keep your rabbits from chewing on your baseboards is simply by trying to block off the baseboards as much as possible. So blocking off the baseboards with furniture, or fencing your rabbit into just the center of the room, or even placing wooden planks along the edge of the room so that your rabbit won't be able to chew on the baseboards. What you can also do is place fencing around the edge of the room. I get these, you know, those DIY storage cubes that have that fencing that you put together? Well, I get a set of these, and I zip tie them together and then place them along the perimeter of the room to keep Ellie from being able to get to the baseboards to chew on them. You can block off hard to get areas with a cat scratcher mat. Corners, for example, might be difficult to block off with these DIY cube fencings. So you can use a cat scratcher mat in a corner, like a flexible cat scratcher mat, and hang it in a corner to block off the baseboards there. For a temporary measure, for example, if your rabbit's going into a room where they're not in all the time, so you don't want to put the fencing up or you don't want to hang something up just for, the 15 minutes that they're in that room, then you can use a bitter apple spray. So you can either buy this from pet stores will usually have it, you can get it online, or you can make it yourself. If you mix equal parts apple cider vinegar with water, you can make your own bitter apple spray. And you spray this onto the baseboards, and it's supposed to be a taste deterrent. So if your rabbit goes to chew on it, they'll taste the spray and it won't taste good, so then they'll stop going to chew the baseboards. I do find if it wears off, then your rabbit's going to go back and try again and start chewing on it. So it's not great if it's in a room that your rabbit has access to more frequently. You want to try to do something that's a little bit more permanent to keep your rabbit from chewing on the baseboards there. Rabbits are also diggers, and that means that they're often going to go for carpets. Usually rabbits will try to dig at either the corners of rooms or underneath doorways. So they may end up digging and then destroying parts of your carpet, and that's obviously something that we don't want. We also don't want rabbits to ingest pieces of the carpet, because most carpets are made of plastic or some kind of synthetic material that really wouldn't be good for rabbits to eat. So we also want to keep them from eating those little pieces that they might chew on while they're digging. So obviously the most ideal situation would be to put your rabbit's enclosure in a room that doesn't have carpet, but of course that's not always possible. So if we have to have our rabbit in a room with carpet, one thing we can do is use area rugs to keep our rabbit off of the carpet. So get a cheaper area rug, one that you won't mind if your rabbit destroys a little bit, and put that down. For example, I have an area rug over Ellie's entire enclosure, so that if she decides to dig in her enclosure, she's just digging at the area rug. She's not going to ruin the carpet in the room. Those plastic mats that you would put under desk chairs, those are probably the best solution to this, because you can put that like in a corner, and it's usually not going to prevent a door from opening either, so you can put that next to a door, and your rabbit won't be able to get through the plastic to get to the carpet. Other solutions are using other mats to just cover up areas where your rabbit tends to chew on, or even placing like a digging box in that corner so that your rabbit will dig into the digging box instead of the carpet. In most cases, the best solution is really just going to be to cover up the carpet so that your rabbit can't get to it. Other areas where rabbits tend to dig a lot is underneath furniture. So if you have a bed that's low to the ground but not so low that your rabbit can't get underneath it, they will likely try to go under the bed, and that's where they're going to do a lot of their digging. Same thing with a sofa. They'll go under the sofa and they'll dig a lot underneath the sofa. So you have two options here. One would be to put like a mat, put a plastic mat down underneath the bed or the sofa, so that when your rabbit digs, they're not going to destroy anything. I had a friend once who put just a bunch of flattened cardboard boxes underneath her bed, and her rabbits could dig at the cardboard boxes and they wouldn't get to the rug, and it ended up being totally fine, though you may have to replace the cardboard boxes every once in a while. But the other solution is to completely block off these areas. Here's another use for those DIY cubes that I mentioned earlier, is to zip tie them together and then use command hooks to attach them around the piece of furniture so that your rabbit is unable to get underneath them. And then you don't have to worry about your rabbit digging at these areas because they can't even get there. In rabbit proofing, you also want to make sure you keep any dangerous objects outside of your rabbit's reach. So dangerous objects would include things like human foods. You want to make sure you don't leave human foods unattended in a place where your rabbit can reach them, because you don't want them to go and eat food that would be really bad for them, for their digestion. In a similar vein, you want to make sure you keep houseplants, especially houseplants that are poisonous to rabbits, away from them. houseplants that rabbits can eat, like herbs and whatnot, I mean, you could keep them in a place where your rabbit can get to them, but your rabbit is likely to destroy them and you're not going to have a houseplant anymore. So it's probably in your best interest to keep that away from your rabbit as well. Other dangerous objects can be things such as appliances. If you have a standing heater, you want to make sure that it's one that's either pet safe, so it's not going to get so hot that if your pet rubs up against it, it would be bad for them. Or if your pet knocks it over, that it would cause a fire or something like that. So make sure that appliances are either out of your rabbit's reach, like fans. You want to make sure that's out of your rabbit's reach so that they can't stick their nose in there and get injured. Any kind of dangerous appliance out of your rabbit's reach or kind of fenced off in an area where your rabbit won't be able to get to them. And of course, you want to make sure you keep any cleaning supplies or chemicals in an area where your rabbit won't be able to get to them, because you definitely don't want your rabbit going in and licking on the bottles or knocking them over and getting it all over them so that they lick it off of themselves. You just want to make sure that everything is safe around your rabbit. Other things that are really big temptations for rabbits tend to be like books and papers. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you take these into consideration when you're looking at the layout of your rabbit's room, where the places your rabbit has access to. Keep everything up onto the top shelf so that your rabbit will not be able to get to them and destroy any of your lovely books. With mail also, make sure you don't end up leaving a pile of mail in a place where your rabbit can get to it, because they may very well end up tearing into it and you don't know what kind of important stuff they may get to before you've had a chance to open it. If you're worried about your bookshelves, like you have too many books to keep on the top shelves, then what you can do is fence off those bottom shelves. So again, use those DIY cubes and use command hooks to attach them to the shelf, and then you can restrict your rabbit's access to that area. Now, when we're rabbit proofing, we do have to remember that our rabbits do have natural instinctual behaviors that they're not going to just stop doing because we don't want them to. So we need to give them ways for them to use these behaviors in a way that is not going to be destructive or dangerous. We need to give them chew toys so that they have stuff they can chew on. We can give them apple sticks, hay-based toys. We can give them cardboard. I have a whole video going over toys that you can get for your rabbit or make for your rabbit so that they will have other distractions available, and so that they won't feel like they need to destroy your house in order to be happy and use their instinctive chewing behaviors. For digging behaviors, you can make sure that they have things that they can dig into. So making a digging box for your rabbit, or giving them some cat scratcher mats can be good for rabbits to dig into, or just a plain cardboard box is a great way to give your rabbit something to dig into without being destructive towards our carpets. You'll also want to make sure you give your rabbit lots of attention to prevent them from getting bored. See, rabbits are very social animals, so they want to have interactions with people and other animals. If they don't, they'll get bored, and a bored rabbit is more likely to get destructive. So make sure that you take your rabbit's socialization seriously and spend time with them to make sure that they are happy and healthy, both mentally and physically. Don't forget to check out the description if you thought any of the tools on this video would be helpful, like the wire couplers and those DIY cubes. I'll have links for you down there. And thank you so much for watching. I do hope that we will see you next week.